So this is the first time they're seeing them. I made this one. No, Simon prefers not to look at it. But yeah, so without further ado, we're first going to do brief introductions and we're going to go ahead from there. So my name's Annie Valkama. I'm a brand manager at Playtonic. I joined just over a year ago, so unlike these guys, I haven't been here for a very long time. But if you've been to the show floor playing a Replaylee, you might have seen me floating around. And first of all, how many of you have tried the new Replaylee demo already? Okay, so the rest of you need to still come and play it then.
Yeah, so what to do this?
I'll make sure you turn up, because I actually know you, so. Brilliant, but I will then hand over to Gavin, who can introduce himself. If someone can pass him the mic.
Hi everyone, I'm Gavin, the founder of Playtonic, and at the moment I'm getting back to doing just some regular design work on the Playlee. It's the happiest I've been in years. And not running the business side of things so much. Since we've grown, we've been able to find a lot more support roles for the studio, so I'm the happiest I've been in a long time, and I can't wait to share more about the game.
Nice. Perfect, then Kev, go ahead.
Hi everybody, thanks for coming. My name's Kevin, and I'm classed as a senior 3D artist. That doesn't mean I'm old, that just means I've been there for a long time. I'm doing this anyway, so experience, that's right. I was very kindly asked to join Playtonic in 2015 by Gav as the separate company, and I saw an email that came through and it had all of the right names on it, so I responded to it with yes please, and so I joined the team, and I've been working there for nearly 10 years now.
Simon.
Hello everybody, my name is Simon Gurgis. I've been in the industry now for just about 20 years. I started out as a gameplay programmer back in 2004 at Rare, and then I spent 11 very happy years yet there, and then I spoke to Gavin just after the formation of Playtonic, and I joined my ex-colleagues, and I've been there for around 9 years now, and now I find myself as the heading up the software team.
Last but not least, Steve.
Hello everyone. See, I've been given a very fancy title, which I'm sure I don't deserve that. But I've been in this business for 32 years now, through the Donkey Kong Country games and Banjo-Kazooie, and now at Playtonic doing the Yooka stuff. So yeah, it's good stuff.
Brilliant. Before we go into the tough questions, I thought I'd ease them into it. And this could actually be an interesting one. So I'd be curious to hear, what is the game that made you get into game development? And if you don't have a game, then you can just share your favorite game. And whoever wants to go first can go first.
Yeah, I'll go there. I mean, I grew up playing Spectrum games with my brother, and games like really loved games by Julian Gollop, games like Chaos and Laser Squad, and those sort of turn-based strategy games. We really used to like those, but at no point now did I think, oh, you know, I want to be in video games. And you know, being Spectrum, we had loads of the Ultimate games, and really loved the Ultimate games. Especially Saber Wolf in particular was a real standout, where I'm beginning to think, how do they make it, look so good, and sort of get interested into it, and then kind of winding up at Rare, working for the people who made these games you played during your childhood, like Tim and Chris Stamper, was crazy, really. But I think it was probably around sort of mid-80s, the kind of the arcades like Outrun and Double Dragon, where things were starting to get looking really nice, and you play the arcade games. There's still nothing like that you could play at home. I think that was probably the point where I thought, this could be, something I'd really like to do in future.
For myself, my passion for games started in the mid-80s on the Atari, the old wooden Atari Switchbox, the old 2600. I was the youngest of 3 siblings, and my brother and sister were quite a bit older than me, so physically they could batter me, and I could never beat them at anything, or that kind of stuff. I didn't understand complex board game logic or anything, but as soon as the joystick was in my hand, I realised it's an even playing field. And as long as I kept playing, I was like, wow, this is fantastic. I can beat everyone in my family at something. So just simple games like Frostbite, Combat, Mega Mania, really old stuff, Yard's Revenge, getting high scores, things like that. So I realised really early that I had this like enthusiasm and passion for doing high scoring and stuff like that. So from then on, that was when I just fell in love with video games. It was just for that reason that it leveled the playing field within like the family dynamic, and I loved that as a kid. But as I got older, just certain games that I just thought were transformative from what was going on before. You know, seeing Mario go from level by level structure to Super Mario World, and all of a sudden it felt like an actual world existed and the universe existed with Mario, and there's places to go off and see and secrets to find. Things like that. Legend of Zelda, you know, you just used to playing high score games back then, and level by level the background would change, but Zelda being this like progressive open world adventure just really kept me thinking, wow, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen in a few years' time? And I just always wanted to be part of, or hoped, and still hope to be part of that answer.
Wow.
No pressure, Simon.
Follow that one up there.
Yeah, exactly. I think my background is probably slightly different. I think I started playing games on the Commodore 64 and Atari ST, and my early, I mean, it was very varied the kind of games that I played then, but I think I firstly really got into side-scrolling beat-em-ups, you mentioned Double Dragon, and then even Altered Beast and games like that, and then later on I was playing obviously Streets of Rage and Golden Axe, but then I started playing, I kind of transitioned onto more on my PC, and I was playing games like SimCity 2000, and then later games like real-time strategy games like Command & Conquer and things like that. But never, honestly, during that whole time, never did I think I would ever be a game developer, because I think at the time it wasn't really anything that you aspired to be. I think it was just a kind of thing that very few people did, you know. So it was really much later. It was actually even after I started my university course did I then think, you know what, I could actually be a game developer, and then realise that.
Now you are. I knew you were a beat-em-up fan. But I'm a little bit older than the other guys, so I started off with the ZX81 and programming on that a little bit. But if you want to know the game that got me in, again, it's been mentioned twice, and that was Double Dragon. I took a college course with my friend Doug, and I really didn't want to go back to school, and I used to spend a lot of time in this arcade playing Double Dragon. And then, just by coincidence, there was an advertisement in the local paper for Rare Limited, and I sent some artwork to those guys because I didn't want to go back to school and didn't want to go to college again. So they asked me to come in, and when I saw the place and I realised it was actually what was, as Steve mentioned, Ultimate Play the Game, I jumped at the chance when they offered me a position there. But the thing that sort of, I always remember from going for my interview there was actually some leaflets from the arcades, and they'd been to Japan and everywhere, and they'd got Double Dragon leaflets, and I actually took the leaflet, asked Carol Stamper if she could photocopy it for me, she could prove to all of my friends that I knew at college that this Double Dragon, I'm going to work with the people that know where Double Dragon was made. So, and now, I'd always been a beat-em-up fan, so yeah, we haven't done a beat-em-up yet, but I'm working on it. So.
Looking forward to the Yooka Laylee beat-em-up game. Talking about Yooka Replayee, and here you can see some of the old character art and, well, the most obviously notable changes. How many of you are fans of the fluffy Laylee? Yeah. But yeah, obviously, just before EGX happened, I'm not sure if people noticed, but we obviously made a bit of a wave when we did our platform announcement. We briefly got Switch 2 trending on Twitter, but obviously in our console announcement trailer, we announced that Yooka Replayee is coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and Nintendo platforms. But as you saw, if you look at our social media post, it's Nintendo side eyes. Yeah, my favorite platform. It's actually coming to the Alamo. That's what we're doing. But yeah, if you haven't checked out the trailer, do give it a watch. It's if you saw the announcement trailer back in June, this is all new content that has not been seen before. You can get a good look at the the first 2 levels of the game, and then when you've done that, if you haven't given the demo a go yet, please do come check it out on the show floor. It's exclusive to this event, so you can only play it here and then nowhere else. But back to questioning our guys. So obviously, when you guys kind of were first working on the original Yooka-Laylee, could you talk about maybe some of the sort of hurdles you had during development back then, and then talk a little bit about the kind of motivations that then led to kind of Yooka Replayee and why Yooka Replayee is happening kind of now. Yeah, that is pretty much it. And whoever wants to start can go first.
Yeah, I think a lot of the hurdles for the first game were actually quite humane and human. There's like time, limited resources. Our first time doing things like handling a lot more than just the core development for ourselves at Rare. We were absolutely taken care of in every way possible. It was such a nice, great and amazing place to work, and I'm sure it still is. But this, when you go out and work for yourselves, all of a sudden you're doing a lot more than you want to be. Talking with accountants and solicitors, direct to platform holders. We were in a great position at Rare that we were using our own in-house engine. So we were able to get whatever we wanted most of the time. You know, there's some incredible engineers at Rare. But all that was gone, and it was like we were brand new starting out in the industry for the first time. For so many reasons, it would have been just like that. And so I think where we ended up with the first Yooka-Laylee was bearing in mind a lot of factors beyond our control. Really kind of, we should be proud of what we were able to achieve with all these extra hurdles that we had for the first time. But then I think when we did Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair, and we had none of that, I think we could see ourselves, we could feel it, and then this was reflected as well with the critics, that second game was a much better reflection, I think, of the skill and experience of the team. So when we look back at Yooka-Laylee, we're thinking, you know what, it's not like we were bad developers and all of a sudden we became that much better. What was it holding us back? And all those barriers have just been eroded away over time. So with the core tech and the extra things we've been developing, the further knowledge we've had of how to get the best out of our tools, our middleware, things like that, and the fact that just in time when we looked at the calendar and thinking, oh blimey, 10 years, this is, how do we celebrate an anniversary? It just felt like a good reason to go back and show people actually we can bring quality back to that title. There's a lot of inherent problems with the game, and there's so many things we're doing differently. I don't think we've quite messaged it yet, and that's perhaps something in the marketing like Annie will be doing moving forwards, is to surprise people with how different the game's going to be. Even that show floor demo is quite outdated now compared to what we were playing in the office. Still moveset cameras evolved, big key decisions around the game, collectibles, even the roles of dodgy snake salesman has already changed. And there's lots to do. The start of the game, even certain story beats. So I don't quite know the terminology difference for a remaster or a remake, but there's definitely a lot more going on behind the scenes which are going to change the game for the better, we believe, than's been messaged yet. So it's going to be quite a different experience. So if you've played it before and you enjoyed it, we hope you're still going to love what's there and kind of see how we've made these decisions, and it's going to be a better game all up for people who, if you have played it before, it'll be better, and if you've not played it before, it's more worthy of being a modern day 3D platformer. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it, and I can't wait to share more details, but Annie's put together a fantastic marketing timeline plan, and I can't skip ahead just yet.
Please don't.
You speak for us all, Gavin. Very little left to say. I think people underestimate, going back to the very beginning of the studio, I feel like you may have an expectation where you just put a lot of senior, amazing developers together with a brand new engine and they'll immediately come out with the best game ever. But it's absolutely not like that. And I think it was an off-the-shelf engine, but it was a brand new engine to everybody. and it definitely took a long time to kind of, figure out all the nuances and how to do stuff properly, and obviously that also impacts everything else that you have to do. And then, like Gav said, I mean, he's only touched on it, but to see Gavin being a designer and also doing the finance and the HR, and then Jens doing the IT, and then all of these other jobs that really shouldn't, be on the developers. And it's like, over time that has completely changed now, and I feel like we've got through that. So.
Perfect. Steve, Kev, anything you'd like to say?
I've been disconnected in a way from the project, because as Gav mentioned that we've got other projects on the go, and we are very busy. But I think, as Gav mentioned, it's more of an evolution rather than a remaster of the game. And the parts that I've been connected with, I've been trying to sort of steer myself away from it. I'm quite looking forward to streaming it and seeing the difference. But I think the main thing that we've got now is more resources. We've got a better engine, we've got more people, and also we've learned from the feedback from the first game. So yes, I would call it an evolution, a good one too.
I think we were proud with the original game, given the constraints we had. I mean, like Simon says, Gareth was trying to run a company and expand the company as well as designing, which is a crazy workload, and he, bless him, he did a good job on it. But I think we all thought it was a little bit of unfinished business, that we knew, especially after doing Possible there, that we knew we could make improvements. And then when I've seen the extra gameplay and stuff that's going into the new one, like Gav said, it's not really a remaster; it's almost a remake. So I think people will be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, so one of the things to kind of re-emphasize there is that when we are saying that we've really taken on board not only feedback that we got from games journalists, but also from the community. So when we say we've really taken that feedback on board, we do genuinely mean it. So far, that obviously generally people at conventions won't come speak too negatively about your game. They will go online and tweet about it instead. But generally the feedback we received so far is really positive. Obviously people who played the original have liked this one as well, and we've had quite a few people who said that they either didn't play the original or they had issues with the original, and then they would tell me some of the issues, and I'd be really happy to be able to tell them that, well, those are some of the first things we were addressing when we were kind of looking at the pre-production and the production of Replaylee. So yeah, so definitely do come and check it out and experience it for yourself. If there's any sort of kind of memories from the past 10 years that have particularly stuck to your mind, either whether it's about, I don't know, just being in the office or working on Yooka Laylee or working on Replaylee, just anything they would like to share with the crowd today that they might not know or might find funny, please laugh.
We're all nervous about answering this one. Yeah, but there's honestly a mixture of emotions from the past 10 years. At the start of Playtonic is when I started a family as well. So thinking about memories, there's just so many, I don't know where to start. It's strange. This game, 10 years ago, I was bringing a 6-month-old baby boy into the office after hours when everyone else had gone, and I'd get to finally do some more work on the game, which I couldn't do during the day if I was doing all these other roles. Yeah, I think back to those times, and it's been a very special 10 years for me personally, not just with Playtonic, but with other things going on. And I've now seen Simon. Simon's got a young family, and he was saying to me the other day, how am I going to balance this work-life balance? And you have young kids, and they don't follow the producer's schedule at all. They don't keep to their U-track tasks of fall asleep at the right time, do they? And be hungry at this time, not that time, and things like that.
Morning and making me late for meetings.
Yeah. So no, there's been so many happy memories. A lot of them intrinsically linked to Ejects and Res, announcing the game, the time when we announced that incredible or terrible you decide rap that's in the game. Recording that in the studio is one of the funniest moments I remember. Dan, our internal composer, all of a sudden, he's a lovely chap, quite quiet, muted, isn't he? And then all of a sudden he turned into this maestro, trying to get the best performance out of just a bunch of 20 idiots trying to sing a rap all of a sudden. And he just turned into this completely different persona that I've never seen from him. And we were all trying not to laugh that rap out. And then moving on, seeing the critical reception to Impossible There, that was like a huge wave of relief, because honestly, if that hadn't have gone down so well, we probably would have questioned ourselves a lot and thought, oh right, we shouldn't be doing this anymore. Then setting up a publishing division and making that family larger with a much more diverse range of roles. It's fantastic. We finally, last week moved into a new office, and we've been in what I call the Magnolia Prison for 10 years since we started. And finally it feels like actually we're a game developer now. We're not just, in this literal, I don't want to be disrespectful to where we were, but it wasn't what you'd imagine game development to look like. Not at all, but it just did the job at the time, and we kind of grew faster than we realised actually we've got to take care of a few other things. So there's lots of happy memories, some memories I'm not so happy with, but the passion's there to keep going and making more of them, I think.
It's funny, Gav has mentioned the new office. That's the first thing I heard from one of our other producers, James Booth. He was the first person I met on my first day at Playtonic. We happened to be on the same bus, and he was like, so this is the office at the moment, but we've been looking to move into a new office for several years now. So he had gotten to a point of being a bit of a myth. We would joke about it internally. It's like, yes, the new office. Is there any updates? No, okay, cool. So I don't think we believed that we were moving into the new office until we actually moved into the new office. So that's actually a funny memory from my side, because that was the first thing I heard, the new office.
I haven't got a funny memory as such, other than Gary Talbot, just in general. But I think one of the things that struck me the most impressive is the way we handled the whole pandemic thing, because it obviously put a lot of pressure on different companies, and we adapted to that, and obviously this new hybrid way of working was introduced, and we had people at the company that needed a shield, and so I did worry and think, God, is this going to kill Playtonic? Is this going to knock a lot of companies off the map? And we didn't. We took teams, and we if anything, I think it actually strengthened us, because our communication now is better. I mean, we can do it remotely, we can all work together for sure, but I'm sitting there up in Cheshire and I'm in a meeting which fortunately Gav has really pushed us to adhere to all of the laws of booking a meeting. Use our schedule assistant, Kevin, and I'll respond to this. All of this, it's so important, the communication side of it, and that pandemic really did teach us to communicate well, and since then I think we've all become stronger, and we know where everybody's at, we know what people are doing, we've got a really good map of where everybody is, whether you're in the company or you're working remotely at home. But I think that pandemic did teach us a lot, so there was a positive from that, so I think that we handled that very well too.
Yeah, my strongest memories, unsurprisingly, will always be about the start, the first 6 months, including the Kickstarter. Like I said, going from this sort of cosseted role at Rare, but being sort of disillusioned. I was 40. I was wondering, whether that, my time's coming to an end almost in the games industry. I'd had some big hits, and I didn't expect to have another, massive career moment. But then along comes, Gav. Heard on the grapevine that he'd formed a company with Jens and Chris, and and just seeing, you know, just that kickstart, to see we were all watching that number start, you know, the 0, the countdown, and then to see it going up so fast, we thought, you know, this can't be right. We thought something must be broken. It was just such a crazy moment, and none of us expected that. And you know, I just felt such a huge amount of pressure with the characters as well, because Gav was like, yeah, you know, just do some characters. So I just did some characters, and then you kind of get that affirmation from the Kickstarter that how much everyone sort of really loved them, and you know, the fact we're still using them now, you know, I guess they were sort of decent after all.
They were alright, right? Perfect. I'm painfully aware that we were meant to wrap up at 5:30, but I will try and go through the remaining questions until we are told to stop or get kicked out. Well, I'm asking this question as a marketer, and I appreciate that this is very dangerous, actually, because there's things that these guys aren't allowed to talk about, so this is a test. But yeah, so is there something that you personally are particularly excited about when it comes to Yooka Replaylee? Whether it's just some game improvements or new ideas, or the fact that it's something that's been delivered by a new team member that you think has been a particularly fantastic contribution? And if you're starting to say something I don't like, I will frown and you will have to stop.
Yeah.
Oh, precious sign.
So for me, one of the, obviously we've mentioned that, you know, we've looked at the feedback from the first launch, and we've been looking at really trying to tackle almost everything we can. One of the feedback was, you know, the levels were so large and sparse, and I think the thing for me that I love the most is how we, you know, that's a constraint that we probably can't really change. We don't want to, you know, cut out half the level or shrink it down. It doesn't work. So it's how to put so much more content in those levels that actually fixes that problem. So I think that we're doing a really great job with that, and I'm excited to see what people think of that.
Yeah, I think it's been nice to see, I'll talk about the art team, it's just been nice to see the art team come together, like finding out what it's really like to sort of make a game with an aim to releasing a game, instead of kind of almost tinkering around with demos. And some of the stuff that's going into the environment, in terms of like immersing yourself in that environment, like there's now we have. I know these things aren't new to games, but they're new to the world of Yooka. So we've got some really cool grass. We've got like dynamic snow. We've got like it's really nice mist you can walk through, and that's all dynamic. So that level of immersion, I think, yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah, touching on that, like we're punching above our weights again, which is where we've always wanted to be for a small team. I don't think it's right to ask of consumers, hey, can you bear in mind we're small, we're limited, you know, always buying and I think vote with your wallets for quality. You don't really need to know or care about the story behind the scenes. It's all about the end game. Is the end game worthy of your money? So with that, we are doing a lot of stuff in this game where I do feel like, wow, I don't think there's any other team in the industry under these restrictions and limits could push and get so much out of so many different things. And I'm really proud of the team, and I'm so happy. You know, we're still here, we're still going, and there's more to come from us. I've just been able to trust everyone else and benefit from their passion being added to the projects, and regards Playlee in particular as well. There's just lots more to let everyone know about eventually, and I don't know, I don't want to upset Annie. I'm looking forward for people finding out what happens when you put a retro token in an arcade machine this time around. It's not what it was last time.
This is the last question, isn't it now?
There's one more.
There's one more. Okay, so one thing I'm actually looking forward to listening to is the new music, because of the effort we spent on getting that sort of resorted and trips went over that to get that re-recorded, so that's going to sound awesome. I won't say too much more because David Wise bought me a couple of drinks earlier on, so I don't want to get too loose-lipped. He's in here somewhere, but some of his music...
In the back row, right there.
But yeah, the module, the section that I've been working on, I'm obviously looking forward to seeing how people receive that, but also, as I say, I'm kind of focusing on other projects, and I'm trying to not see everything through development because I want that surprise, because I also want to stream that and say, oh my god, this is different now.
So what is the future of Playtonic looking like? Hopefully Pride.
Multiple 3D platformers attacking a slightly different angle and USP. Like I say, we've got this core tech, it's now leverageable in many different ways, but what it does enable us to do is try and do very different things with 3D platforming, which I'm excited about because I just want more of them. And I'm hoping lots of people are buying Astrobot in huge numbers because it's well worthy of it, and that's great if they can, you know, other games like that can really help bring back 3D platforms to the fore, because we've got a lot of exciting things we want to do in that space. I definitely want to make a racing game at some point. Yeah. We've already got a load of joke names like Yooka Laylee. And just a couple of different surprises. I think as over the past years, we've slightly approached the types of games we want to make, and that includes experiences where actually I want to play some stuff with my young family, and can we do things that are attacking that space. So just more fun, more games, and hopefully more panels like this. Yeah. That'd be great.
Perfect. Yes, we will wrap it up. I'm sure we were hoping for questions. Yeah, we were hoping for questions, but I'm sure these guys can answer a few outside of the room. Yeah, yes, continue. No, but yeah, so let's wrap it up. And if you have any questions for any of our panelists, they can take a few of those outside of the room. But I'm aware that we went over time by 10 minutes.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Awesome.